Some Russian smugglers used 27 tons of tree trunks to transport illegal substances.
It was a massive pine tree crashing onto a house in Monrovia. The house was crushed along with a van parked in the driveway.
And I'm exploring a new area. I've just come across this skull.
Ancient artifacts, terrifying infestations. Creatures locked away permanently. You never know what you might come across once you open the tree trunks.
Oh my god!
So, let's get ready to watch what was found in the trees that no one was supposed to see.
Oh!
Snake family. Some locals were thrilled to find a coconut tree log in their neighborhood and decided to check if they could use it for their everyday work purposes. Just as they started checking what was inside this object, they got a shocking revelation. At first, they found some eggs and a snake that quickly ran away from the scene, and soon after, they met the true residents of the log. It had been taken over by dozens of venomous snakes. Now, they were pretty careful in taking these serpents out, and after hours of hard work, all the snakes had left the trunk, and it was safe again for the locals to use it. Red tree. No, you're not looking at a tree with red bark. This is an average tree painted red with thousands of ladybirds that decided to gather around in one place. The otherwise cute little bugs had created this haunting scene for every viewer that simply could not wrap their heads around what was going on here. Although it might look like this was some sort of an apocalyptic scene, the reason behind it was far simpler. In cooler climates, ladybugs swarm to trees in the fall to find a sheltered place to hibernate over the winter. Trees with thick bark or dense foliage become the main attraction for all these critters. Impaled bird. In case you didn't know, nature can be quite brutal, and this is proof of that. This video circulated on the internet and had everyone wondering what could do such a thing to a bird. It was uploaded by a bunch of explorers who were horrified to see a bird impaled in this manner. Well, my best guess is that some predator had made a meal of it and then left it here after it went on to its next hunt. As cruel as it sounds, that's just how nature works. Infested trunk. These carpenters were carrying out their regular duties of cutting some oak trees, and while everything was going smoothly, they were amazed to notice something moving in the trunks. It's quite normal for worms to live in trunks, right? But it gets a bit creepier when the whole tree is infested with dozens of the red creepy crawlers. The men started picking out the carpenter worms and had a whole bowl full of them. As disturbing as it may seem, these are actually the larvae of a type of wood-boring beetle, so they commonly live inside trees. Rich tree. Money does not grow on trees, right? Well, think again. This particular tree spotted in England had coins embedded in it. Sure, it seems like they grew naturally. We really wish that was the case, but it was the result of an ancient tradition. In the 18th century, trees held mystic value, and it was believed that offering a coin to the deity would bring prosperity. So the coins were inserted in the tree for gaining wealth of all kinds. With time, as the tree trunk grew, the coins hardened within it, giving us this peculiar look. Feminine fruit. A particular tree located in Thailand bears the fruit, but the shape of it actually looks like a woman. This tree is known as Narifon, which according to Buddhist belief is considered a divine tree. The feminine shape of a fruit and the way it grows looks pretty convincing and natural, but a lot of people consider it to be a hoax. Some pointed out that a mold may have been used to give particular shape to the fruit, while others say it was just hanging dolls. Work of art or work of nature. Either way, the tree is still bewitching. Blank space. The workers had to cut down the tree because something was trapped inside. Bet you're never gonna guess what it was. They kept sawing until the tree was finally in two pieces. And look what came out of it! A dog! How did this fellow get inside there in the first place? That's surely a great mystery. Locals claim that the dog was chasing a squirrel in the tree and probably just went through a hole. Well, now the dog knows, just because you fit in doesn't mean you necessarily belong there. Unknown skull.
Monkey head.
A bizarre tree was spotted in the village of Nyanyi with quite controversial decorations. Embedded in the tree were multiple skulls. Although some started claiming these belonged to gnomes, they were most likely monkey skulls. The backstory is that people of this local region used to hunt in the past and decorated their house with animal skulls, so it might have been the work of a hunter. But it's still unusual because why on earth would someone decorate a tree? Perhaps they liked it so much.
With skulls of various descriptions.
Random discovery.
Morning, it's Saturday, January 27th, and I'm exploring a new area. I've just walked under some pretty big tree snaps down this path.
When an explorer headed out into the woods of Ontario, she discovered a skull hanging on a pine tree. The woman was shocked by such a bizarre discovery and could not figure out what animal it belonged to. She was even stunned as to how a perfectly clear skull could be placed specially inclined on a tree. Did some predator put it there? Or was it a result of human hunting? There are so many possible questions, but very few answers.
Freshly gnawed, eaten deer bones, deer leg bones hanging in a tree too.
Gloomy Mystery. A young man had ventured into the forest, hoping to witness some soothing sights. But Mother Nature had a surprise for him. While he was roaming through the area, he came across this mysterious creature hiding among the branches. At first, it seemed like a dull skeleton, but on closer inspection, it looked like a face resembling a beastly creature. It was a terrifying sight for the person, and before he could figure out what it actually was, it just disappeared. In 2022, when the footage was uploaded online, no one could quite figure out what it was, leaving the man and every viewer with just questions. Zombie Reptile.
Oh my god!
Cutting down a tree came with a surprise for this man when he spotted a snake poking out of the cut down wood. Like, how's that even possible? Is it some form of a zombified snake? Some viewers suggested that the serpent had gone inside the tree to get a safe and undisturbed sleep, but little did it know that the woodcutters were going to bring it out in a horrible way. Surprisingly, it was even slithering on the ground after coming out.
Maybe its head.
Infested wood.
Con rắn này. Ui cha mẹ ơi này.
During exploration, as hunters peeked in a tree trunk through a hole, they discovered a giant snake resting inside. Worried that it might hurt the nearby villagers, they decided to evacuate the tree. But the task was not so easy, because they soon realized it was inhabited by dozens of cobras. After a while, they finally put the snake in the bag. But that was not the end, as there was one more. And as they continued, several other snakes made appearances one by one. No doubt the tree was rotten. One of the snakes even tried to tackle them. But these guys sure were brave. Even after removing a lot of snakes, several were still present inside the rotten wood. It appeared as if they were coming through some kind of secret tunnel. After continuous efforts over some time, the team was able to eliminate the reptiles completely.
Con này, con gì đây?
Shiva in tree. Residents in Tamil Nadu were amazed at the discovery of a Shiva Linga under the roots of a tree in their area, and a whole group gathered around to get it out of the ground safely. The Shiva is one of the principal deities of Hinduism, revered as a member of the Holy Trinity along with Brahma and Vishnu. So finding something like this in their area was more of a spiritual journey for all present on site. The group used ropes to bring the holy sculpture out and then perform their rituals to honor the find. Fish out of water. You know, they say never judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree. Well, this one right here just flipped the script. These perches just decided to come out through mud holes and move around the tree. Although it may appear to be an unusual sight, it is in fact a common behavior. Some researchers claim that these fish climb up if they feel threatened in the water, while others suggest that they come out to find the food. They're probably able to survive out for a while due to moist soil. Good thing that the bigger fish don't have this ability. Humanlike Creature. Our forests are full of creatures that we have no idea about, And a traveler got to experience the presence of one such cryptid during a calming stroll through the forest. In a fleeting moment, he noticed a pair of glowing eyes and a dark figure staring right at him, and it was enough to make him go running for his life. This figure even tried moving back to the bushes where it came from, but it was already too late. Could it really be a cryptid haunting the depths of the forest? Or was it just a clever prank planned by someone? What do you think? Hanging ribcage. A stroll through the forest at night brought forward some of the most haunting memories for some friends when they spotted a whole skeletal remain of an unknown creature hanging from a tree. Now, I would have gotten quite the jump scare if something like that was in front of me. Those long, pointy teeth and the whole rib cage at the back has created the perfect decoration for a Halloween party. The people who found this eerie thing were not sure what it was and started calling it traces of Chupacabra. But some other viewers had some answers. These were the remains of a coyote, and they were left in the tree by a predator after it enjoyed its meal. Cry for help.
Well, 2 days she called. She stated she had been hearing some sort of crying, like an animal noise coming.
In a pine lake of Wisconsin, locals heard some strange noises coming out of the tree, so they informed the authorities. Turns out it was a bear cub trapped in the trunk cavity. The officer claimed that while climbing the tree, it may have fallen into the hole and could not escape due to fallen debris. The rescue team had to cut the tree with a chainsaw for a safe rescue. It took a few minutes before the innocent animal was released, and it made its way back to the wild.
Soon as the bears were rescued, they ran off into the woods, safe and unharmed.
Rescue mission. An ancient catalpa tree finally gave in to its rotting branches, so a tree company was called to remove it. But it was not an easy task, since the tree was home to a 40-year-old bee colony. Once the tree trunk was cut down, it unveiled multiple stories of hives. The workers decided to conserve their colony and were hoping to bring them to a new house. After carefully cutting down the tree, these workers sprayed smoke to calm the bees. The team then carefully took out the combs and tried to relocate them to a better place. It was a win-win for everyone.
Because they're not covering all the cone, but it's a decent bit of it.
Trapped woman. Now, finding that in the dark night would clearly give quite a panic attack to anyone. Some explorers were thrilled to come across this rather unique tree that seemed to have a woman stuck in it. The locals in the area started claiming that this was the spirit of a woman that went missing a long time ago. Well, I don't know about you, but that seems hard to believe, doesn't it? Another logical explanation would be that this was an impressive sculpture made by a talented artist, and it was so good that it made the locals think of all sorts of things. Expelled from ocean. To find a weird bird nest in a tree is one thing, but to find a giant octopus spreading its tentacles in the tree? Oh, that's a whole new thing that nobody saw coming. The mollusk didn't just stay in the bush, it also camouflaged its way to the tree trunk. Now, I know the video quality is not the best, but this discovery was made 15 years ago by an organization working on the conservation of giant Pacific octopus. Surprisingly, it wasn't the only appearance. The octopus made an appearance again after a few years, but this time, it wanted to have a night view. Observe how it's using the tentacles to leap on the tree. Ugh, it just gives me the creeps. Antlers in tree.
We came up on a deer skull.
Anything's possible in the wild world, and the strongest animals often end up in situations like this, when they're left at the mercy of the same trees they use for their diet. Some hunters were amazed to find this deer skull stuck between the trees. This poor animal was probably scratching its antlers with the tree during shedding season, and accidentally had them fixed somewhere between the edges. Although it was just a skull, findings like this make a peaceful trip to the woods an everlasting nightmare.
Yeah, hold that. Wow, it's a monster.
Tree cycle.
Here, there it is.
We've all seen birds' nests in trees, but how about something different, like a bicycle becoming a part of the tree? I know it sounds crazy, but this tree in Vashon Island has got a different story to tell. Some tourists found the bicycle suspended 7 feet in the air as it was growing with the growth of the tree. Surprisingly, this was not a deliberate piece of artwork. According to some sources, a child had left his bike here in the 1950s and never came back for it, so the tree completely consumed the object, and it became an inspiring piece of art for every visitor. Religious miracle. A peculiar tree in Thailand contains the head of the Buddha placed within the trunk. This display is the first thing you'll see if you enter the Wat Mahathat temple. Naturally, one may think that this is a properly installed work of art, but that's not actually the case. It's believed that invaders in the 18th century purposefully deserted the statue here. The Buddha head was left alone, but nature showed its miracles. As the tree started to grow around the head, it accepted the piece as its own and started to strengthen it, giving us this spectacular sight. Deer rescue. People often see hunters as heartless people, but here's a completely different side to them. These hunters were roaming the open grounds for their sport when they noticed a poor deer stuck between 2 trees. It had most probably gotten there while running at top speed. The men tried prying with a log and even kicking the smaller tree with their leg, but nothing seemed to work. Finally, they used a hatchet to cut the tree a bit, and after a few nudges, they were able to get the deer free again. It ran off into the wild without a second thought, and hopefully reunited with its family. Bull elk.
Wow, poor guy tried to make it through those trees and it didn't quite work out, eh?
A hunter was looking through the forest for an impressive animal when he suddenly came across an astonishing sight. This majestic giant bull elk was stuck between 2 trees, and according to the hunter's estimate, this poor animal was running at high speeds and accidentally got stuck from its antlers in these trees. Even after trying for a long time, it couldn't get free from the trap and was stuck until its demise. It's kind of heartbreaking to see what can happen to such powerful animals in hopeless situations. Sleeping woman. Alright, I know that it looks like it was filmed on a potato, but the interesting fact that these trees actually look like a woman made me still want to add this here. Some explorers were searching in the woods when they noticed a rather peculiar detail in the tree's roots. A woman's face could be clearly seen here, and while many were calling this work of nature, there's a logical explanation to this sighting. There's a high possibility that this thing was carved by an expert who had a deep love for Mother Nature, and honestly, I'm impressed by the quality of the work here. Heartfelt rescue.
My child had prepared me for this. Well, this is good.
A couple heard this cry for help from some distance, and they immediately sprung into action. As they got to the site, the man used a shovel to open up the bark, and there it was! This dog had most probably gotten there while chasing squirrels, and got stuck when trying to get back out. Luckily, the couple was passing at the right time, and they were able to get it out safe and sound. Now this is what the right place and timing looks like.
You're in a bit of a pickle, girl.
Welcome back.
Human face tree. This video surfaced on the internet, and it took everyone by storm, as they were left in awe of how beautiful nature can be. The tree perfectly looked like a human face, and many started calling it a sign that Mother Nature was looking out over all of us. Although it was most probably happening because of a perfect lightning and wind direction, many even pointed out that this could not be a coincidence. Well, I think whatever it was beautiful to look at. Chupacabra. Creepy long fangs, hairless body, and a long snout. All of these sound like a perfect nightmare for many. Yet the residents of Texas came face to face with this odd creature, and they had several things going on in their minds. Many called it a hybrid between a coyote and a fox, while other eyewitnesses were more skeptical about this being a chupacabra caught red-handed. A solid answer for what it was never came to light, but this discovery had many wondering what could be lurking in the unknown depths of the forest. Hovering terror. A beekeeper recovered a giant hive planted in the soil. As he turned it over, seemingly dreadful hornets with bright yellow markings started to emerge. These critters were actually giant Japanese hornets. What's spooky is that they're one of the biggest ones out there. What seems to be a foam is their eggs, and the yellow mouths projecting are their young ones. If disturbed, these wasps may sting, but this guy knew what was at stake and was fully prepared, as he had worn protective covering. Combat bug. An explorer spotted a massive nest in a forest, and on closer observation, he found dark wasps moving around. These bugs were moving their wings like they were about to march. If you ever find one, maintain your distance. Otherwise, you'll end up like this guy. While he found a similar nest in the trees, he got closer out of curiosity. The warrior wasps started flapping their wings as a sort of signal to each other to get ready for defense. Just when they felt right, the whole nest started chasing the man away, and he had to run for his life. Inside rage.
A man came across this tree burning from the inside out.
A man passing through a forest spotted a tree that was burning, but only from the inside. It was an astonishing sight for the man, as he could not believe what was happening. The thing is that the tree is rotten from the inside, which makes it more flammable. The only solution for the flaming hot trees is to cut them down in order to prevent further damage nearby. So these martyr trees took one for the team. Megafruit. Initially, these hanging fruit from the tree may seem like a giant nut, but if you get a closer look, it appears to be a wasp nest. The wasp nest can be found exclusively in North America and Brazil. The critters look like they're using the site to perform an ominous ritual. Don't ever dare interrupt their home, as they'll not be reluctant to give a piece of their stinger, which may be a bit more painful than other wasps. Egg case. Initially, it may look like a bird's nest made of straw, but if observed closely, they're actually nymphs of praying mantis. Instead of multiple eggs, the mantis just lays a massive one that can contain up to 160 babies, but only a few of them survive due to a tough environment. The appearance of this clade may seem frightening, but in reality, they're not harmful towards humans in any way. However, if their habitat is disturbed on purpose, they may react, but it won't be too intense. Still, it's better to enjoy the spectacle without interrupting it. Water gun. What is going on here? Water coming out of the tree? It appears as if someone has put a rubber tube in the tree. The occurrence may seem odd, but just wait, this tree is sort of diseased. See, bacterial infection produces gas inside the trunk. As the pressures build up, the wood gets torn, and ultimately, water sprouts. Now, this one here seems extra stressed, but this time, bacteria is not to be blamed. Due to heavy rain in an area, the springs overflow and eventually come out through the tree trunks due to high pressure. Twisted, hairy tree. If you ever come across this plant, you'd probably think that this is one hairy tree. So did this explorer. But wait, once it was inspected with a stick, it turned out to be something horrifying. What on earth? Lots and lots and lots of crawlers coming out. I was really not expecting that. These spider-like creatures had just covered the entire bark. The thing that appeared to be hair was actually their long legs. Mother versus alien. Woodpecker mama, on returning to her nest, saw a vicious intruder inside the trunk. She did not even hesitate for a second and immediately went into battle mode. This tiny bird fearlessly wrestled with the ever-feared snakes. That is the power of motherly compassion. It was no easy battle, as neither the vicious snake nor the protective mother were ready to give up. The intense battle continued for hours. Well, not sure who won the battle, but I was surely rooting for the mother. Stucky the dog. Meet Stucky, the dog with an eternal bark. In the 1960s, a hunting dog chased a small creature up a hollow chestnut oak tree in Georgia and became trapped. The tree's unique environment naturally mummified the unfortunate pooch. This preserved mummy was discovered by loggers from the Kraft Corporation in 1980, perfectly encased inside the trunk. Instead of decay, the dry conditions inside the tree prevented moisture and organisms from breaking down Stucky's body. Today, it's visited by several tourists at the Southern Forest World Museum in Waycross, Georgia, intriguing them with an eerie preservation story. Army of insects. A tree can hold wonders of life, and that includes dozens of caterpillars that were seen clinging to the tree. Just look how they've invaded the trunk. That is one tree to stay away from. Sometimes these caterpillars can also occupy the trees in the form of patches. Just look at the movement. Seems like they're ready to march against anyone that comes in their way. Well, better leave them alone then.
These are caterpillars, man.
Growing tree.
This hungry tree has actually started to consume this bench.
We've all heard the phrase that nature always finds a way, and here's that exact thing at play. An amazing tree in Dublin, Ireland was seen effortlessly taking over a bench that was placed in front of the giant. With time, the tree's bark grew and expanded to great measures, and it did not consider stopping because of the hurdle. It took the bench in. This shows that no matter what happens in the world, nature really does always find a way to grow and expand.
And the sit here, in case it consumes me up too. Oh, right, it might eat me all up.
Needle and thread. These woven threads hanging from trees may seem like a ball of yarn, but in reality, it is the nest of a southern masked weaver. This black-headed yellow bird uses just its beak and feet to craft their elegant nests. But what's more interesting is that it is more than just a nest. It's actually a dating site for the bird too. Now I know why this male bird's putting so much effort into it. To impress the female. Boy, I really hope it works out for him. Dating's hard. Tree sprout.
Alors, c'est comme un mystère.
Let's see, what do we have here? A tree growing out of the car. What? How's that even possible? Locals claim that the tree had sprouted overnight, but it's not like we had seeds out of Jack and the Beanstalk. I just can't seem to make sense out of it. The video went viral, but it had a lot of misinformation. In reality, it was a piece of art displayed by Royal Deluxe, which is a street theater company in France. But still, the way it was installed is quite intriguing. Whoever came up with this marketing plan, they deserve a raise.
Jusqu'au siège qui est transpercé.
Open discussion. We all know that wood is used for construction purposes, but a group of clever minds found a rather different way of utilizing logs. Some Russian smugglers used 27 tons of tree trunks to transport illegal substances. Luckily, it was caught by Ukrainian customs officers while the shipment was on its way from Germany to the UK. During investigation, the officials confiscated all the materials skillfully packed in the hollow trunks. Although this was done very wisely, the logs were caught due to their abnormally light weight, costing the smugglers some hefty penalties. Thank you very much for watching the video. Do like it and share it with your friends. Subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon to not miss any of the upcoming amazing videos. Thank you once again.